G'day and welcome to Kenty Blitz, your daily hit of NRL news. Kenty, some big news out of Canterbury this afternoon with some major changes.
Yeah, big changes was. Look, obviously we've been waiting for this. We've dropped a little bit later today. Apologies for that because we just had to wait for the team changes. But the big news is that Toby Sexton has been named in the number 7 jersey at Canterbury. Lachlan Galvin has been moved to number 6 for Canterbury. Matt Burton has been moved to the centres in place of the injured Stephen Crichton. But Stephen Crichton has also been named Woz. He's in jersey 23. And my understanding is there's a little bit of a conversation yesterday that there was an outside chance he still might be available to play on this weekend. They had a talk today, the medical staff, with the coaching staff. They decided that they would name him. They've put him in jersey number 23. Which, look, that's suggests normally that he won't be playing. At the very least, the mind games have begun because, look, we all thought there's no chance of even playing a part in the rest of the final series. But there's that little bit of a talk yesterday. It could be just a deliberate false leak that there's an outside chance that he could play. So, I've spoken to people at Canterbury. They're all very... look very vague about it, to be fair. And the thing about that, I think, is, that's the way it's going to happen. It won't impact really on the Bulldogs this week because they will train now as normal with Burton in the centres, Sexton and Galvin in the halves. And then you just take the approach that if by some small miracle Stephen Crichton is available, well, then he just slots back into the team, and he's been training there all year, so it won't be too much of a problem. The other thing is Reid Marnie's been named at 17 on the bench too, so that suggests he might be playing there. Bailey Hayward is once again the number 9, but it's interesting. Cameron Ciraldo has gone out and basically made the changes most people anticipated, most people thought should be made.
And the fans have been calling for it.
And been calling for it. But, but he's done it I think it's shown, in some respects, some humility from Cameron Ciraldo. The fact that he's not trying to coach to show people he's right, prove he's right, and be stubborn about his team selections. He's acknowledged the situation that the Bulldogs are in, and he has basically picked the team to accommodate for that. So I think well done there.
They've really gone all in, though, haven't they? Put all their chips in.
The Dogs are all in. Look, and that's the thing with Crichton. There's no point waiting. Normally you'd say, mate, no chance, we'll wait for next week. But there might not be a next week now for the Bulldogs. So if there's a small chance he can get on the field, it's a high syndesmosis sort of sprain. If there's a chance he can get on the field, I think they just roll the dice and take that chance because he's so important to them. He's such a authority figure out on the field. You really need him in your lineup. But again, you got to measure that against the risk that he won't get through the game and you burn up an interchange and that messes your whole rotation, all the rest of it. So,
Kenty, let's remove Crichton for 1 minute because I'm sure we'll talk about him probably tomorrow, but more so
and
Thursday.
The next day.
Tell me what you think with Burton in the centres, Sexton, Galvin. Do you like it?
Look, it's a common sense way to go. The one thing that everybody picked up over the weekend was when Sexton did come onto the field, he straightened their attack a little bit. He took the team just seemed more cohesive. They had just a greater understanding where they needed to be, what they needed to do. Sexton has played in that system for a few years now. Galvin's been there for the second half of this season basically, and they were trying. He was trying to adapt to Canterbury style. Canterbury were trying to bring him into it, and it has had its teething problems. Sexton just, I think he showed on the weekend his performance against Melbourne that he had to be picked, and I think Ciraldo recognised that. Unfortunately, it's not in ideal circumstances because it means the loss of Crichton to make the selection easy. But once Crichton was injured, where else do you go? Like it's just a better looking squad. The interesting thing I do think though is Reid Marnie on the bench. Because there's also a little bit of talk around there about what he brings to the team. Defensively, he's very good. He can do a little bit of that, we're not allowed to do it anymore, but a little bit of that, little, like badgering and then sledging.
Let's talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later. But that's part of it, you know what I mean? And Reid Marnie, I think that probably showed that they've missed him a little bit too. So some really good signs there for the Bulldogs. I think they look good. So
one thing it does do, Kenny, is it makes it if we needed it, it's even more exciting now because everybody's going to wait to see what happens.
Exactly. Look, look, this is just one of those things that you just sit back now and you go, right, let's go. You know what I mean? Like it's just rugby league has this great ability to just find the narrative, to just hit upon these stories that just take it to another level. And that's what's happened this week with the Bulldogs. Like they are the argument will be there. It'll be open-ended, whether they win or lose. If they win, see, I told you so. If they lose, should have happened sooner.
Too late.
Too little, too late. Mitch Kenny's been named on the bench for Penrith, which I found interesting. I thought he just go. It's a hamstring injury he's had. I thought he'd go straight back if he's going to play into the 9 jersey. He still might. He's in jersey 17, so that's the case there.
Not many other changes, right? For the other teams?
Well, not really. Not really enough to sort of look at. Was, as I said, we're sort of trying to go through this as we sit here and
Cronulla
we're talking.
unchanged.
Cronulla, they're pretty much unchanged, and the Raiders, from my quick look I had at them, there's nothing going on there either. So Hosking, obviously he took the fine this week, so he's not been suspended. So no changes there. But the big ones are Bulldogs, and it will be the discussion all week. Obviously, Bronson Sherry's back for the Dogs, which is going to help them significantly. So they're looking. If they'd had Crichton there, you'd say they look fantastic. But it's going to be interesting. What you got to ask now, though, is how that's going to affect their kicking game. Matt Burton, just that little bit further out at centre, he's just got such a wonderful kick. Whether that it's going to make it harder or easier for the Penrith players to get to him. He won't be kicking from out there, but when he comes in, he'll identify himself. We'll have to see what happens there.
Very good. Well, we can't wait for another few days talking about this. Let's move on. So, Kenty, as we discussed yesterday, Justin Holbrook has been appointed as Newcastle Knights coach. Yeah,
he's been appointed. Look, the interesting thing about that, we all think he's going to do a great job. He was there in, 99-2000 seasons. He played there. He knows what the area's about. I love what he's been saying about finding that steel in the Knights again.
Steel City, they keep calling him. Yep.
Well, Steel City, and it goes way back to what I've mentioned before, was the two T's, toughness and tomorrows. And Holbrook understands that. He understands that's the DNA of the not only the club but the area. So he's going to look at that. The interesting thing I think about that is a couple of weeks back, the Cowboys were very hot on trying to sign Sandon Smith. Very keen to have him at the club. And
North Queensland.
The Cowboys. Yeah.
Right.
So they were after him. It looked like he was heading there. Then all of a sudden it fell apart, and we found out that he then signed with Newcastle Knights last week. I think it was last Friday. A little bit of the detail around that was when he was trying to, they were looking at taking him to the Cowboys, his management were trying to also sell Holbrook to them as their future coach. Now, the Cowboys resisted. They said, look, Peyton's here. Peyton's our coach. They didn't want to sack him. And essentially, I'm led to believe that the Cowboys certainly believe that if they didn't sign Justin Holbrook, they weren't going to get Sandon Smith, which is obviously what happened.
Wow.
But then Holbrook goes in this week, signs with the Knights only 3 or 4 days after Sandon Smith last week signed with the Knights. So it just shows you how, I think, a little bit behind the scenes stuff about how negotiations get done and the sort of the manoeuvrings of clubs and players and coaches now. And I also think it's probably a reason why we need to be very careful to having managers allowed to manage both coaches and players, because this sort of I'd be careful to say it's a conflict, but people can draw their own conclusions there.
Well, I mean, that was the big furor at Manly, wasn't it? With everybody was saying the coach shouldn't also be managing or the manager shouldn't be coaching. Yeah, shouldn't be managing the coach and the players.
It's happened at a lot of clubs. Look, it first happened at Cronulla many, many years ago. That was the first club, from my understanding, where it really happened, where a manager had just so much there, had so many players, got the coach in, and just basically had sway over the board.
When was that?
Oh, years back. Years.
Yeah, right.
But that was the first club. And a lot of managers do deliberately try to get that situation created now.
And the board actually expect if they sign a coach, the manager will also bring players.
And that's a weakness of the board for me. Because you're making a deal with the devil there. And it sounds great. We're going to sign this guy as coach. He's going to bring this guy. terrific. Season 1, wonderful. Off it goes. But what happens then, season 3, season 4, the manager's suddenly saying, listen, you've got to sign this guy up here. And the coach might go, mate, we don't need him. Or the board will certainly say we don't need him. But they end up having to take them because they've got so much invested there that the managers can cause problems. That's one of the real issues that clubs have had with some managers who I shall not name. And that's why they really need to look at whether managers should be allowed to have players and coaches on their roster and as their clients, because it leads to too many conflicts.
Yeah, interesting. Mark Nawaqanitawase has been awarded.
Well said. How long have you been practicing that?
I've been practicing that all afternoon. And can you see the sweat dripping off me? Anyway, he's been awarded the Rugby League Players Association Rookie of the Year award. Yeah,
it's a funny one, isn't it? So last night on 100% Footy on Channel 9, they announced him as the RLPA Rookie of the Year. The fascinating part being he's not eligible to win the Dally M Rookie of the Year. I really wish they'd get on the same page. It's a funny one, though. Nobody can really come to agreement. Personally, I sort of had the opinion I didn't think he really should be eligible because given that he's already a Wallaby player, he's already an elite athlete, and I know he's come from a different code. I get that. But I think that sort of goes against the premise of what a rookie is. Or against the idea of what it should be. But I also get he hasn't played rugby league at any level before, any senior level before. So he's eligible for the RLPA. The NRL made a decision he wasn't eligible for the Dally M's. It's going to look a bit silly now because, look, he has been clearly the best player. Halasima at the Warriors will probably get the Dally M Rookie of the Year. Well deserved, but I think Nawaqanitawase is certainly the standout performer.
He's almost changed the game, hasn't he, with his wing play?
He's just got a great spatial awareness.
Yeah, poised, doesn't he?
Yeah, but knows where he is on the field.
Yeah,
knows how far he's in from touch he is. He knows how far away he needs to sort of lean out from the defenders coming across, that he can sort of get around them and reach out and put the ball down. He's great through the air. He's just got this great spatial awareness, which. That's just a God-given gift. That's not a look. It certainly does the hard work, but some guys you just see they're just born with it, and he's born with it.
It's not often when somebody scores a try that I yell out to my missus and kids and say, "Come and watch
come
this."
and look at this. Yeah.
The other night, that goose step, I made them all come in. That was just
he's terrific.
Next level.
The thing about him too, though, is that, what I find interesting is his odds on now to go away with the Kangaroos at the end of this year.
You agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I think he's been the form winger, certainly this season. I think his form certainly warrants it. But there's certainly also a push from within the NRL towards Kevin Walters, the Kangaroos coach, to pick him and make sure you pick him. And that's all designed around the fact that they want to make him an international player, highest level of the game, and basically try and make the temptation to stay in rugby league remain there as opposed to going back to rugby union for the World Cup in 2020 or 2027. So the NRL is certainly afraid he'll go back to rugby union. He has left that open-ended when he's been asked about that. So they just think if they can get him in a Kangaroo jersey this year, obviously play Origin next year, he just gets a taste of all that higher level rugby league stuff, even though it doesn't have the other benefits of touring and stuff like that with the Wallabies. It might be enough to encourage him to stay in rugby league, which I hope he does, because he's just a wonderful player, and it's nice he's been recognised for how good he is.
If I'm him, I'm going back for one season. Just go back for the Rugby World Cup. I know, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah, I think it sucks.
Yeah,
I get it. Look, I get it. Yeah, I get it. But
home World Cup would be unbelievable to play in for him.
Yeah, I get all that. Well, look, I'll go as far as say I think when you look at the trade between Nawaqanitawase and Suaalii, I think rugby league got the better deal.
Yeah, I think most people would agree with you.
You know what I mean? Like he's just been unbelievable.
Yeah, I think most people agree. So I want to read out this interesting message from a viewer, Calvin. Said, when will Brisbane implement the Taylor May defence for Pat Carrigan?
You know what? That's interesting, that. Because, look, they can't. Today they've accepted the plea, okay? They've taken the early plea. He won't play the preliminary final, and he'll be available for the grand final. Now, the NRL the Broncos weren't willing to risk challenging the charge. the conversation wasn't had around TaylorMade. If you all remember, a couple of years back, which was outrageous, the NRL came out, allowed TaylorMade to play in the finals and allowed him to serve his suspension the following season in round one, which was just, look, it was just management that just had their head in the sand. I know it's not allowed now. I'm surprised the Broncos didn't come out and make a bit of a song and dance about it. So, you know, well, why can't we do that? Why can't he play the preliminary final, which could be his last game of the season, and serve his sentence next season, which, look, there's a precedent there. That's
or drop down a New South Wales Cup. They're not in New South Wales Cup, though. That would
they'd have a state cup, but they can't.
Queensland Cup,
the Queensland Cup. But they tried. That one was tried years ago when Balmain sent Blocker Roach over to Warrington in what year was it, 88, when he was suspended, took in the grand final. So he already had a contract with Warrington. They flew him to Warrington. He sat on the sideline while Warrington played, and they flew him back, hoping that was the one game that would count, that would get him in the grand final, and it didn't. It wasn't allowed to happen. But it's just the point about this. See, precedent plays a big part in the game. And that TaylorMade, as dumb a decision as it was, for them to be unable to see that it was going to set a precedent that would embarrass the game just astounds me. Yeah, people have been saying, commenting to me about Hudson Young this week. Okay, well, hang on, didn't he get a headbutt earlier in the year and get away with it? So there's a precedent. Stop whinging. Hudson Young, they made a mistake with Hudson Young by not penalising him more severely for it. Back in the two wrongs don't make a right. Yeah, like back on it again. Reece Walsh, he should have got a bigger punishment. He should have been sent off. Headbutts are send-offable offences. Severity shouldn't be taken into it in the context of the game at that time. So, but precedent, the NRL, honestly, we flip and flop.
Isn't it interesting the people who dive into the comments and claim that this and that and this and that, this person only got a grade 1, etc. The information that these people are spreading in the comments is completely wrong.
Yeah, I know.
It is completely wrong.
Yeah. It's a lot of times people will
writing what they want to read.
People just say you're wrong about this, and they tell you what's right, and they're actually wrong.
That's completely wrong.
I mean? So, but that's the way we are. Look, our memory's selective. I get that. We all make mistakes. I make mistakes, obviously. You do your best at the time, but what gets me is the outrage at the mistakes. Yeah.
Well, the other big precedent is around this sledging. So what happens this weekend with sledges?
Well, and it's been noted by people, what does Ronaldo Militalo do this week? He's the king of it.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely unleashes on players.
He's in their face as well.
In their face. He's heckling. He is like chastising, and he's badgering them. And I would even go as far as to say he's provoking them. Now, the NRL allows that. I don't particularly like a lot of it. I think it goes too far. I hate things like a player makes a mistake and opposition will run over and pat him on the head. I don't think you should be allowed that. But anyway, they allow it. Yeah, they do all that business. Okay, it's a bit of like sarcastic sort of response to their error.
Well, Klein said that Hudson Young stirred him up.
Yeah.
That's bullshit, isn't it?
Well, okay, so you now let's talk about precedent. Are we now going to have a sin bin offence now for someone that stirs you up? Sledging has been around since the game began, since the first football was kicked.
Who's the best sledgers you've seen?
Oh, look.
Or heard?
Ricky Stewart's the best, okay, by a mile. But it's just there's different types of sledges. Alfie was a good sledger, but Alfie did it in a more a humorous way. Craig Coleman was very good. Terry Hill was very nasty. You know what I mean? Like, Terry could just – and the secret to good sledging is to find that soft spot, okay, where people respond to it. I remember, like, years ago, the South Sydney pack used to always accuse Paul Sirenen of playing soft. Okay. Now, they used to heckle him and call him soft and things like that. Now, he wasn't a soft footballer, okay, but his skill set was elsewhere in the game. He didn't go out and play that dominant hard man role. He had skill. He was a great running game and all the rest. So the Rabbitohs used to try and put him off his game by trying to get him to say, oh, I'll show you how soft I am, play hard, which was not his natural game, which would then take away from his game. So they used to sit there, and every time he'd run the ball, they go, here she comes, here she comes. And Tugger Coleman was the best at it. Here she comes, look at her, make sure you tackle her, all this sort of stuff go on. And one day they were running, Ciro got the ball, Tugger, here she comes. Ciro ran straight at him, dropped the shoulder down, boom, hit him with the hip. Ran over the top of him, went, there she goes.
Very good.
Yeah, so there's a lot like that. Ricky Stewart actually one day when, towards the end of the 90s when Newcastle let go of Matthew Johns, remember they re-signed Andrew on a massive deal and said to Matthew, mate, no money here.
Yeah, went to Cronulla.
Went to Cronulla. Yeah. So when the Raiders played the Knights, and the news was out that Matthew was going to Cronulla the following season because there's no money left because it all went to Andrew, Ricky Stewart was in Joey's ear the whole time. What about you? What about you? Abandoning your brother. Just trying to get him thinking about other things during the game. And he just kept going at him and saying all sorts of things. And, mate, what sort of bloke are you? Like, just leaving your brother alone, like out in his own like that. It went all game. And then finally, towards the end of the game, Joey gets the ball, chips over the top, gets the back, throws a dummy, goes over, scores. As the Raiders are jogging back behind the line, Ricky looked at Matty and just said, mate, you're on your own now. But, look, there was always a bit of good humour to it. It's got a little bit of a nasty tinge to it now. It's and there is just straight out abuse now. Okay, look, that has been also a part of it. That's not a new thing. But the NRL now to set a precedent now, you're sent off because you're stirring someone up. What's going to happen this week when the Raiders and Sharks play?
I liked Reece Walsh's comments on TV. They asked him what was said to him, and he said that he was called a weak-gutted dog.
Yeah, that's
good fun.
That's just the humour they like to provide. Yeah, I wouldn't say they're very sophisticated some of the humour in rugby league guys, but at least they're looking at it the right way.
So what does Ricky do now? How does he get them up?
Don't know. Look. They had the presentation last night.
Okay.
He walked into that. He was up on his toes, and as far as he's concerned, it began last night. The players were together. It was obviously a celebratory moment, the club presentation night, and that's it. You leave it all behind. You've had your time to deal with it. It's going to take a lot though. It will take a lot. It's a 6-day turnaround, so that's going to take a little bit out of the Raiders. They don't have a lot of time. I think in some cases that might be good. It's got them back to training quickly. It's got them working, and if provided they can actually leave it behind, the 6-day turnaround from a mental point of view will be good. It won't give them any time to really dwell on it. But it's just a matter of. Look, one thing Ricky is very, very good at is gauging the emotional level of his team, just figuring out where it's at and where it needs to be. And so that'll happen. They've just got to get their minds back on the job and prepare for Cronulla. The fact that it's a different team they're looking at, obviously all that sort of business.
The difficulty they're going to have is Cronulla's probably in peak form. Yeah. Over the last 6 weeks.
Yeah. I actually think the Raiders need that though.
Okay.
I think
because they're going to start hot, Sharks.
They're
going
to
come out hard.
They will, and the danger for the Raiders is that they'll have this sort of emotional lag, and they might start the game a little bit slowly. But the benefit for the Raiders is that they'll come into the game. They'll prepare for a game where they know they can't afford to be lax. If the Cronulla had come in that sort of lethargy that they'd been in midway through the year or 3/4 of the way through the year, there might be part of the just sitting in the back of the Raiders' mind. We'll get these blokes. They can't be confident of that now. And Cronulla, they've really got their tails up. They are in super form at the moment. They're playing really like a nice style of footy, but most of all they're defending so well. Their defence is just terrific at the moment. So they really bustled the Roosters over the weekend, and I think the defence led their way to the win.
The difficult for the winner of that Raiders Sharks game is they've only got a 6-day turnaround before travelling to Melbourne to face Melbourne.
Yeah, look, the NRL's had a meeting about that today. They've spoken to the 4 clubs involved and all the rest of it.
They've done that because the AFL Grand Final's on.
Well, look, they don't want to admit that, but the AFL Grand Final's on that Saturday. Normally, they would have been due to play on the the NRL normally play Friday, Saturday. Now they've moved the Broncos game to the Sunday. They've made it a Sunday afternoon game. They're celebrating it and promoting it. Sunday afternoon game. Let's try and get Sunday afternoon footy. That's, I think, buoyed by the fact that the Raiders Broncos game on the weekend, over 1 million people watched it. It was one of the biggest finals crowd, TV audiences ever. So that sort of buoyed the fact that they think they can get away with promoting this as we're going back to Sunday afternoon footy. But they clearly did it to avoid the AFL Grand Final. When you talk about turnarounds, though, okay, whoever wins out of Cronulla and the Raiders, they will have to go to Melbourne on a 6-day turnaround, which is not ideal.
Yep.
But the teams have accepted it because if they beat Melbourne, then by playing on Friday, the Brisbane preliminary final will be on the Sunday. They'll have an extra 2 days before the grand final over whoever wins that game with Broncos, whether it's Broncos, Penrith or Canterbury. So from that point of view, it's sort of what you lose here, you gain there, or vice versa. Yep. So there's no real right or wrong way to do it. I think the clubs have handled it professionally and just said, you know what, this is what it is. They understand that they don't want to be playing the same day as the AFL Grand Final. That said, there are a lot of people who go to the AFL Grand Final, watch the game, and then take off over to the NRL game. That said, you know, if Collingwood are in the Grand Final, that might not be the case this time around because I'm led to believe they get a bit feral. So
they get twice as many fans, don't they? 2 heads, or what do they say? I don't know about that. I just want to ask you one final thing because you get accused of being a Ricky fan on here.
Yeah,
quite a lot. You're a friend of Ricky's, but that doesn't mean you're not impartial. And they talk about Jed Stewart's knock on, and you've got a theory about the relativity.
Look, this isn't to do with Rick, right? This is, but I've just been thinking about this. It's happened all year, okay? See, when a hand is facing towards your own try line and the ball touches it, the laws of physics say it's impossible for it to travel forward. Unless it passes somehow through the hand, it cannot pass forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
So, but what I'm saying is, yes, there was an argument that given the way the ball was kicked, given it was only a light touch to the ball from Jed Stewart, if there was a touch at all, I'll accept the people who want to argue with me that he did touch it. I'll accept that, okay? But even if he did, the try was called back because under the rules he knocked the ball forward. Now, he didn't knock the ball forward. It's impossible for him to knock the ball forward when it comes. Because his hand was facing his own try line. Okay. So unless the ball somehow passed through his hand, how's it going forward?
What about over the top of his fingers?
Okay, again, but this is where you need Bill Harrigan in there because Bill will look down and break down the letter of the law. Did he knock the ball forward? If it come off top of the fingers, yes. But what they're arguing is that the trajectory that the ball was on, the touch of the finger was not heavy enough to change the trajectory, so it still travelled forward. Yeah, okay. But he didn't knock the ball forward. The ball travelled forward, but he knocked the ball forward. Now, a lot of people are going to say that's rubbish. But when we play pass the ball and you throw the ball and we argue whether it's a forward pass or not, people will argue, yes, it was passed backwards, but momentum took it forward. And now we've accepted that as part of the game. Anyway, this is just one of those little sort of head twisters. I thought
I get it.
Come up when I can't sleep at night. You know what I mean?
I get it. Well, Kenty, that was a massive episode. What are you happy with those team changes? I guess we'll wait and see, right?
Yeah, we'll wait and see how it all pans out.
Yeah, it's big news anyway. Mate, yesterday was the 25 years of Sydney Olympics. Yes. You remember it well?
Yeah, I worked at the Olympics. It was a pretty intense time, actually. They were long days. Oh, yeah. It was. Look, every man his dog at the paper at the time worked. I remember I was a columnist. I actually got employed by the Telegraph because of the Olympics. So, you know, to be a columnist there at the games. It was a lot of walking.
So were you out at Homebush?
I was everywhere.
Really?
Yeah, everywhere, yeah. A lot of Homebush stuff, obviously. But
you were at Kathy Freeman's 400?
No, I wasn't there that night. Look, no, that was every journo in town was fighting for the 3 seats that the paper had for that. Yeah. I don't even know. I actually think I was back at the Media Village when that happened.
Yeah, I was there that night. That was an unbelievable night.
Yeah, it's just something we've never forgotten. I was there the opening ceremony when the what it was about a $3 switch.
The phone didn't go.
It didn't work, and the whole thing nearly came apart. But look, they were great games, and I've been to 3 or 4 Olympics, and 3 Olympics I've been to, and Sydney was by far the best organised. I went to Athens actually in 2004. They were still pouring cement on the first day of competition.
Yeah.
Literally, they were still pouring cement, like cement paths.
Wow.
And people just try to walk around, and some people walking through them when they got the shits for waiting and all the rest of it.
That was like Qatar this year at the football, 2 years ago, the Football World Cup. They were still bloody paving the roads. Anyway, that's it for us. Remember, Ask Kenty tomorrow, so load up. Put all your questions down below and we'll do our best. Until then, see you then. Thank you. Bye-bye.